Hey everybody, it's John King with Summit. It is 12 noon on Friday, the 27th of May. First of all, I cannot believe that May is just about over. We're heading into June. My kids got out of school yesterday, which made it kind of fun because I broadcast out of my basement. And as I came downstairs today to get my broadcast set up, my son's playing video games in the basement as well. So I have an unhappy 13-year-old because he is right now trying to do something in his room other than play video games on his first day of summer. So I guess that counts me as a horrible dad today. I don't know. Anyway, I am super excited about this broadcast. I will give you fair warning. I am dealing with a bit of a head cold. I've actually got a sinus infection. So I will be a little bit challenged today, but I'll struggle through and do just fine. So at this point, guys, I want to launch into what our broadcast is going to be. And it sounds like we might be getting some echo here. Okay. All right. So guess we're not getting echo. If we're getting echo, I apologize. Bottom line is I'm super excited about our Financial Friday series. We are going to be talking and continue to talk about a lot of different topics to help you decide about important financial topics in your life. And I'm actually really excited. Little things in life get me excited. And I'm really excited because Anna on my team created an amazing trailer that kind of gives an intro for us. So now I feel like I'm a professional. So I'm going to go ahead and launch into my trailer on Financial Fridays so that you understand why the heck we're here and what we're doing for you. So Anna, take it away. Or not. All right. Well, thank you for that, Anna. I think that makes me feel like I am a real professional now. My kids will call me a YouTuber, maybe. Anyway, today's topic, by the way, my kids will never call me a YouTuber. But today's topic is about retirement planning. And I've got two special guests here today. So we'll bring my special guests onto the screen with me as I describe what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to be talking about topics that have to do with just retirement planning, whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s and getting ready to retire. What do you need to be thinking about when it comes to retirement? How do you make sure that you are going to be prepared, and what questions should you be asking? So my guests today are going to be Joe Flores and Lamar Simpson. And I want to take a quick minute and let them introduce themselves. So Lamar, why don't you start out? Tell us a little about who you are and kind of what you bring as far as a background to this conversation.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. First of all, John, my name is Lamar Simpson. I am the owner and principal of Simpson Wealth Planning, as we see on the screen there. I have been in the financial services industry as a financial planner and money manager for the last 2 decades, a little over about 24 years. 5-star wealth advisor 10 times running. So I specialize in getting people retired and also keeping them retired. So that can be done in a number of ways. I mean, we talk about, I specialize a lot in pensions, different things like that, work with business owners. So yeah, quite a few things like that. So yeah, it's anything that's retirement, you can come my way and ask the question.
Love it. Thank you, Lamar. So guys, full disclosure, this is our first time having more than just 2 people on the screen. So I have 3 people, and Anna and I, who Anna helps me run the production, are trying to get our flow together on popping people in and out. So just understand there'll be a little bit of challenges with that, but we'll make it happen. So Joe, why don't you give us a bit of an intro on who you are and what you bring to this background on this topic of retirement planning?
Great. Yeah. Hi, John. Hi, everyone. Thanks for the invitation, John. I think this is great. So congratulations on your new development here. I feel like I'm on a national newscast or something. And you know how they debate back and forth? So thanks. I think this is great. I'm learning a lot from you, John. And Lamar, I look forward to working with you too. I really appreciate the live broadcasts you do. And I think I'll binge watch all your episodes over the weekend here, Memorial Day weekend. But basically, what I do is I help people with Medicare. Medicare is a federal health insurance. Usually my clients are over 65, but not always. And for the past 26 years, I help guide Medicare beneficiaries on selecting their health insurance, either Medicare Advantage or Medicare Supplement, and their prescription Part D plan. So I kind of give general information on Medicare A, B, C, D, and I find out whether or not they need Medicare at this time because they might have an employer plan. So we look at different options with their Medicare, Medicare Advantage, Medicare Supplement, and I broker many plans, and these plans vary county by county. So what might be a good fit for you might not be a good fit for your neighbor. Okay, so everyone has individual needs, and we go over those needs, and I find the optimal plan for you. So I run an agency out of Roseville, California. I have over 70 agents that I train on the ABCs of Medicare. And in fact, we just started this week on training for the next open enrollment period for the fall. So it takes a while to ramp up for the next season. But again, thanks for inviting me, John. Oops. Can't hear.
Thank you. Didn't unmute myself. See, I brought myself back onto the screen, but I didn't unmute myself. Now you can hear me okay. All right. So, Joe, you just brought up a good point. And you said open enrollment period in the fall. What does that mean? Because I thought when you're signing up for Medicare that you have an enrollment period based upon your birth date. Help me understand the difference between an open enrollment period versus the enrollment period based on my birth date.
Okay. It's a source of confusion, John. Okay. Not only for Medicare.
I'm already confused.
Right? Not only for Medicare beneficiaries, but for professional insurance agents. And that's why we start training now to prepare for the annual enrollment period, which is October. So there's like 6 different enrollment periods. All right, there's one for people brand new to Medicare, 3 months prior to your 65th birthday or your retirement date. That's your initial coverage election period. And then there's the annual enrollment period. And then there's another one called the open enrollment period. And then there's a special enrollment period. I don't make this up, okay? And it depends on your circumstance. If you're new to Medicare, if you are retiring, if you're moving, if there's been plan changes on your current plan, or even right now, there's a special enrollment period because of the drought in California. So I really encourage you, hopefully me, that's why we're on here, to have a relationship with an insurance professional to guide you through these enrollment periods, because it is complicated, not only for Medicare Advantage, but then there's another set of enrollment periods for Medicare Supplement. And so there's like 2 different types of products, and they all have their unique set of rules. So that's why it's important to have a relationship.
Got it. So when someone is basically, the key thing you said was 65 years old or retirement date. So your first opportunity is at the point at which you turn 65 or you retire. So, you know, if I have a great, I'm 40, God, how old am I? I'm about to be 47. By the way, fair warning, you have, I think, 12 shopping days until my birthday, June the 6th, just in case you needed, you know, Amazon ships same day. You can get something for me tomorrow. Anyway, but you know, I'm about to be 47. Right. Exactly. And so what if I have a really good 5 years and I'm retiring at 52? Can I get Medicare when I retire at 52?
No, it has to be when you turn 65. Okay.
Okay.
Or if you have a permanent disability. So it is an age.
But you go ahead.
Okay. So
keep going.
You turn 65, right? But some people keep on working past it, turn 65. So then they retire after 65. Then they can trigger their Medicare. But the minimum age usually is age 65 unless you have a permanent disability.
Okay. So one of the things that I'm veteran of a Bain, it says if I'm still working when I'm 65. So what you're telling me is both have to be true. I have to be 65 and not which one comes first. It's when both come true. So if I retire at 60, I cannot get Medicare.
Correct.
If I retire at 80, I do.
Oh, the audio broke up.
Or when I retire at 70, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think I caught most of it. The audio broke up. So if you retire before 65, you're 60, you can't get a Medicare plan because it's age 65 unless you have a disability. Now, suppose you kept on working, right? Then you could trigger your Medicare after age 65, like suppose age 70. Okay. But you have to be careful. You had to have, you're working, you have health coverage through your work, and there's over 20 employees at your place of employment or through your spouse employment. Okay. So you got to work with a professional here because you have to meet all the different, items on the checklist. Okay. So your Medicare, if you're working, they have coverage through your work and over 20 employees. That's how you can put your Medicare on hold.
Got it. Okay. So let's back up here. First of all, I'm having an issue with my internet, so I'm going to duck out for a quick second, and I'm going to let Joe give us the big picture of Medicare 101. So Joe, can you kind of walk us through from start to finish how Medicare works? I'm gonna reconnect my internet, and I'll join back in a quick second. I'm going to leave it to you. Sound good?
Yeah, perfect. No problem.
Perfect.
Okay,
take it away, Joe.
Feel free to call me or shoot me an email. My phone number will be available. Actually, I'll just give it to you. 916-396-4111. You can find me at joeknowsmedicare.com. I do have a weekly radio show. So if you go to my website, you can check out 1380 AM. Every week I talk about Medicare. Sundays at 1 o'clock at 1380 AM. But you can find information on my website, joeknowsmedicare.com. So if you reach out to me, I could send you one of these charts here that has a breakdown of what you need to know about Medicare. Okay, so Medicare is a federal health insurance program, usually for people over 65. Okay, so if you have a disability, you may be able to get Medicare, but usually I'm talking people approaching 65. So in a nutshell, A, B, C, D of Medicare. Part A is hospital. It helps you with the hospital admissions, skilled nursing. It's not full coverage. So we have to fill in some gaps. And that's why they're called Medigaps or Medicare Advantage. Okay, so Part A, hospital. Usually no premium for Part A hospital. If you worked 40 quarters or 10 years in the country, you paid your Social Security taxes. Okay, Part A. Part B is called medical, and that's professional services, primary care, specialty, ambulance, labs, x-rays. Those are examples of Part B of Medicare, and there is a monthly premium for Part B of Medicare. Usually it's $170.10 per month, which is taken out of your Social Security check monthly. And if you don't have Social Security, then Social Security will bill you quarterly, but it comes out to $170.10 per month. Now, here's a highlighter or note-taking time. Be careful, because if you're higher income, Social Security may charge you more for Part B of Medicare. It's income driven. So they look at your modified adjusted gross income. So if you file single, if you're over $91,000 a year in your modified adjusted gross income, or if you file jointly, if you're over $182,000 a year, Medicare or Social Security will charge you more for Part B. In fact, I had one client this morning, and she's very high income, and she's going to be paying about $400 a month for her Part B. Okay, so just a heads up, you got to work it out between you and Social Security, but on average, your Part B is $170.10. Okay, so that's your A and B, original Medicare. Part A and Part B. Part B covers 80%. So there's a big gap there. You have to pay 20% if you don't have other coverage. So that's what I do. I provide additional coverage beyond Medicare. So A and B, the original Medicare, started back in 1965. Now we can go over the chart here when we meet, or I can email this to you. There's two types of plans. Part C is called Medicare Advantage, and another type of program called Medicare Supplement. Okay, Medicare Advantage, you see all these TV commercials. A lot of them are HMOs or PPOs, where you use a medical group and you get a referral from your primary care to your specialist. And there's a list of copayments, maybe a $10 copayment for primary care, maybe $20 for a specialist. It depends on the plan. But every county has their set of Medicare Advantage plans and very low premium. Okay, sometimes 0 monthly premium. You see $19 monthly premium. It could go up to like $100 monthly premium. So I work with you in identifying your doctor, your hospital, your county, what you're looking for. There's plans for chronic conditions. Okay, all this is known as Part C Medicare Advantage. Okay, so the other section is called Medicare Supplement, where you pay more per month, but you have flexibility in and out of the area. Okay, so you have doctors here in Sacramento area. Maybe you have doctors out of states. You could self-refer, but you pay more per month. It starts off like $125 a month, and then you have to add a prescription plan, a Part D plan. But the main thing is you get flexibility on where you want to go for your doctor. It's not an HMO. Okay, so just to recap, this is like a 101 in less than 2 minutes here. You have your A, B, C, D Medicare. A is hospital, B is medical, not full coverage. So either you have to get a Part C called Medicare Advantage or a Medicare Supplement. Okay, so there's different rules for the two types of programs. And I'll help you join one of these plans, especially if you're brand new to Medicare, you're thinking about, activating your Medicare, or if you're already on a Medicare plan, I'll go over the differences between your options. Okay, so John, that's about it. It's as a general overview. Hopefully, I'm sure there'll be questions, but I try to condense it as much as I could.
Yeah. So if you're watching live and you have questions, post them now or at any point in the broadcast. We'll be able to bring up your questions live and we can ask Joe and Lamar those questions either during the meat of the session or at the end. We're going to have time for Q&A, but post the questions at any point. For those of you who are watching this recorded, thank you for watching it recorded. Post the comments anyway, and I will be monitoring those. If it's a question for Joe or Lamar, I will make sure that they get back to you and answer those questions. So please have the comments and questions coming in, whether you're watching live or recorded. So Joe, I have a question. Okay. What if I miss my enrollment period? Now let me clarify what I mean by that, at least my understanding. I've heard people talk about, oh my God, don't miss, if you miss out, you have that 6-month window, tell me I'm right, 3 months before your 65th birthday and 3 months after, right?
Depends on the type of plan you're going for.
I thought it was right. Man, I thought I listened.
It's crazy. I'm telling you, they have an enrollment period for original Medicare, an enrollment period for Medicare Advantage, and another one for Medicare Supplement. They all have different rules.
So, all right, I'm going to back up and not ask you to answer this question yet. I'm actually going to ask a bigger question. Is this a self-service kind of thing? You talked about your role helping people make decisions. What if I decide I want to do it myself? Is it costing me more to go through an insurance carrier such as yourself versus just going to Social Security's website? I think that's where you go, and enrolling. What are the pros and cons? Does this need to be self-service? Are you help me understand, because clearly this is super confusing. Why would somebody not talk to you? Maybe that's a better way to put it.
Okay. One of the biggest rules I have is to avoid penalties and avoid delays in your Medicare coverage. Okay. What happens is that it is overwhelming, and a lot of beneficiaries go with what their neighbor has, or a TV commercial, or even between husband and wife, there might be differences in health status. So take advantage. There's no consultation fee. Your benefits do not change by using an independent broker like myself. And I have multiple plans. Why not? Use me, but don't abuse me. So, but anyway, we go over different options. And you know what I get a lot, John?
What do you get?
This. No one ever told me I could have put my Medicare on hold, or no one ever told me I needed to, have this plan by a deadline. Uh-huh. And it's like years later, and they're penalized and they're paying more for their Medicare when it all could have been prevented. All right. So you got to reach out to an insurance professional and make sure they have experience. And I'm offering my services, 26 years in business. This is what I do every day. Yep. And I enjoy it very much. And it's the career I chose. And actually I fell into it and I stayed in it, so 26 years later.
Yes. So Donald Wilson. So we, Joe and I both know Donald Wilson very well from the Roseville Chamber. And he just asked, is that a Johnism? Yeah, it is a Johnism. Clearly, this is very confusing. So you can quote me on that, Donald. Definitely need somebody like Joe on your side. You know that, but I want to make sure everybody else knows that as well. This is a very challenging thing to navigate. So Joe, what happens? What happens if my neighbor told me, hey, it's no big deal, I didn't enroll for Medicare until I turned 70? Well, like you said, it depends on whether you have health coverage and whether your company has more than 20 employees and all these ifs, ands, and buts. And I come to find out at 66, oh no, I don't qualify for that. I should have signed up 6 months ago when I turned 65. It's too late, or a year ago when I turned 65. Is it too late? What happens if you miss that initial enrollment period?
Okay, there's a couple penalties and delays involved. For example, Part B as in boy. If you turn down Part B or didn't enroll for Part B and there's no other coverage and you want to activate your Part B, you have to wait to enroll between January and March, and then your Part B becomes effective in July. So there's a delay, right? And with Social Security, there's a 10% penalty for every year you waited without Part B. Okay, so that's a Part B penalty. Then there's another penalty for D as in David for prescriptions. If you turn down a Part D plan and there's no other coverage for prescriptions, no other credible coverage, there's another penalty, 1% per month. It starts off small. It might be like a 30-cent penalty per month, but in a year, $3.60. And later on, when you get a Part D plan, they add that monthly forever, right? So I've talked to people that went 10 years without a drug plan. That's a $36 penalty added to their monthly premium forever. And it was a husband. I remember a husband and wife, so it's like $70 a month penalty, and they weren't too happy. And that's when I got the quote, I wish someone had told me 10 years ago. You know, that's an example in my head that I share it with people. It's like, okay, talk to someone, work it out. It's not impossible to do by yourself, okay? But really take advantage of a professional, like taxes. You know, you can figure it out, right? But do you really want to spend that time and you're exposing yourself to different exceptions and rules that you're not following? It's the same type of thing. It's a service.
I appreciate that, Joe. I think that's been a really good basic overview of Medicare. So we're gonna put Joe in the green room. We're gonna bring Lamar out, and Joe will be back. So I don't want him to get any hate mail saying I got rid of Joe. He's hanging out. He'll be listening. If you have questions for Joe, we're gonna bring him on at the end, and we'll have time for Q&A if we have any live questions. Otherwise, we'll just have a little banter between the three of us. But Anna, let's go ahead and bring Lamar up with me, and let's talk retirement income. Welcome, Lamar.
Hello, John. Thank you for having me today. Definitely appreciated Joe's talk. Really good stuff. It's a really complicated thing, and having professionals on your side, obviously very, very important. So
it is. I liked what Joe said about, you can do your own taxes, and you can. I think there's so many things in life that you can do self-service. You can sell your own home. You don't need a real estate agent to sell your home. But is that really the right thing to do? Are you what do they say? A person who represents himself, a lawyer. What's it saying? A lawyer who represents himself in court has a fool for a client.
Yeah,
is that how it goes?
If you represent yourself in court rather than a lawyer, you have a fool for a client. Yeah. We're on the right track here.
We're on one of us. Somebody will probably put in comments and tell us that we said it all wrong. But anyway, and Donald, I saw your question. We're going to get to that in about 20 minutes when we get Joe back on, and we'll do some back and forth Q&A. So we'll keep a hold of that question. So Lamar, I want to talk about retirement income, and I'm going to let you start out. Like when somebody says, actually, I want to stop for a second.
Okay.
I want to give a quick introduction to what makes Lamar different. So Lamar is a financial planner, but the truth is most financial planners that you talk to, their job as they see it is to manage your investments. And really they're what I would call an investment advisor. Hey,
right.
I think you should buy Tesla. You should sell Apple. By the way, I'm not making any recommendations, and don't buy or sell anything based on what I'm saying right now. But, we're saying as an investment advisor, they're telling you what should you what should you buy and what should you sell? And
Mhm.
hey, based on your retirement plans, I think you should be invested heavily in bonds versus heavily in stocks, and
Right.
weighing out all of those things. But Lamar does his business different. Lamar is really, I don't know what the right word is, Lamar, it's escaping me, but you're really a planner to
Mhm.
the very finite, helping you literally think about where is your money going.
Right.
And I've worked with Lamar. I've had clients work with Lamar, and I'll tell you that one of the things I hear from clients is, man, I don't know if I want somebody telling me where to spend my money.
Mhm.
And the amazing thing about you, Lamar, is you don't tell somebody where to spend their money. You simply educate them on the choices that says, hey, if you want to go buy that boat, I'm not telling you not to. I'm just telling you that your game plan to retire at 63 years old necessitates that 30 grand you're spending on the boat gets invested. But
Yep.
if you invest the money in the boat instead of in that investment that we planned on, then you're going to retire at 66 and a half. Life is all about choices.
Right.
And I think that is really important for me to explain, because we all have a hard time tooting our own horn. Maybe not you, Lamar, but I think it's really important for people to understand that you are really diving in, and it's a fee-based service, but it's worth every single penny, because what you're doing for somebody is really digging in deep, helping them negotiate with vendors like insurance companies and decide with a mortgage, hey, is this really the best deal I'm getting? You're really truly an advisor. Can you speak a little bit more to that and the things that you do for your clients?
Absolutely. And you explained that very well, because most people that you run into, so do I invest assets? Yes, I do. That is my money manager hat that I wear when I come in here and I navigate markets. That is not financial planning, although many people who are in the financial services industry will call it financial planning. A true financial planner, and by the way, no matter what you think, a good piece of advice, or a good series of pieces of advice, if that's a proper terminology, will always outperform an investment. So if you sell a product, whether that be a mutual fund, a stock, a bond, an insurance policy, whatever it is, under the guise that, hey, I'm financial planning, you're truly not financial planning. Financial planning is not a product per se. It's intellectual property. It's sitting down and talking. What is it that you want to get out of retirement? When do you want to retire? What quality of life do you want when you retire? Many of us are very different. Some people want the mansion on the hill. They want to go to France every month for their vacations. They want to live this really great lifestyle. Others, hey, you know what? I just want to stay home. I'm tired of working. I just want to kind of sit back and enjoy my grandkids and be local. So those are two very different things. I use that boat analogy quite a bit. So if you want to go buy a boat, and John's telling me he wants to retire at 62, and he wants to have 80% of the income that he earns now so that he can have a lifestyle, the question becomes, it's not, Lamar, can I buy a boat? You do anything you want. I'm not going to make you do anything, but I will tell you the two pieces that one of two things will change in your retirement plan as a result of a large purchase. You're either going to work longer so you can have that same amount of income that you told me you wanted, or you will lower your expectations of income in retirement. One of those two things has to happen, because, I'm really good at what I do. I've been doing it for 25 years. I've gotten awards. I've done a bunch of different stuff. I am not a miracle worker. I can't make money up here.
But at least you're good at tooting your own horn. Good job at that one. So, Lamar, I have a question.
Sure.
Are you going to tell me I can no longer buy my drink from the unnamed coffee company? I'll cover the logo. But are you going to tell me I can't buy this anymore because I'm not going to be able to retire if I drink my coffee from my favorite coffee shop?
No, see, I think and I'm glad you asked that question. People really get really nervous about dealing with financial planners because of the dreaded B word, budget.
Mm-hmm.
People don't like the word budget.
Yep.
So when I talk about that word, I call it a spending plan. It's more apropos to what we're doing. We're going to make money. We're going to spend it. So what we do originally, we'll kind of initially look at everything you spend, where it's going, and how effective it is for you. Coffee and things come up, sure.
Mm-hmm.
All the little things add up. Doesn't mean you have to stop those things. You just want to have an idea of what you are doing. Do you go a couple times less a week? Do you stop spending on something else? Those are things that we look at, and it's the old days of the financial planner that said you can't do this and you must do this, and then they'll get you out, and I have one right now. They'll get you out a nice thick binder full of colorful garbage that means nothing. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I have a notepad. I write letters. I tell people advice face to face. I say, hey, look, you can spend money at your favorite coffee place. Sure. If you're spending $30 a day at that coffee place, it may be a conversation that, hey, you know what? You may be overspending in that area, so you may want to adjust it. I'm never going to tell anybody to do anything. I will tell people what is a bad idea, what is a good idea, and what the effects of those decisions are.
Yeah.
So,
Something I was taught a long time ago was the concept of pay yourself first.
Mhm.
And I think about that when it comes to retirement planning. And as a matter of fact, the budgeting technique I was taught is, hey, look, if as long as you pay yourself a certain percentage, the ideal, this is not advice across the board. What I was taught was save 20% of every dollar you make.
Mhm.
So you save 20%, take the rest of it to Vegas and bet on black. I don't care.
Mhm.
But it's freeing to think that way. Now, I'm not sure if that's how you teach your clients or not, Lamar, but for me, it's very freeing because it's not, I can't go to Las Vegas and bet, on the blackjack or roulette table. I've already, as long as I know that I've paid for all of my regular bills, paid for my taxes, set aside the money I need to set aside for future retirement. Any extra income is discretionary. I can do anything I want with it. And
Right.
that stopped it from feeling like a budget that constricted me. And that's why I think so many people don't plan for retirement because they and please correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like the clients I'm talking to, and I talk to people every single day who have a mortgage, are getting a mortgage, or buying a house. What are we worried about in today's society? Today, we're worried about the instant gratification.
Yep.
And I'm not going to worry. Look, I don't know if I'm going to be here in 30 years to even retire. So why should I bother to sacrifice my happiness today just to be happy in a theoretical 30 years if I'm still alive? How do you
Right.
respond to somebody when they say that?
So there's a couple ways to look at that. One, we absolutely teach paying yourself first. 20% is a very good number. And what we create is you need to treat that as if it's a bill, like any other bill. So if you're going to pay your mortgage, you're going to pay yourself. It's going to come out first. It's going to happen. It's going to do like clockwork. There's a book called The Automatic Millionaire that I read many, many years ago. And it's basically
David
says
Bach,
just
right?
that. Exactly. So what you do is I like to have a separate bank account where that percentage goes into that bank account. I don't look at it. Nothing happens. So that's the first thing. You really want to do that. Secondarily, we live in this society. One, it is instant gratification. People are never satisfied. When you have the thing that you thought would make you happy, then you're looking for something else to make you happy. We're consistently chasing that happiness because we think it comes in a retail package, and it doesn't, right?
Amazon delivers happiness, don't they?
That's what they tell me.
Yeah.
It's
a smile on the package. Marketing tells me. Their logo literally tells me it delivers happiness.
You're supposed to be happy when you
am.
order something. People like that endorphin rush. Oh boy, I bought something. That's cool.
Yep.
And that goes away in a couple hours, and then we want to do it again.
Yep.
So that's the first thing. We need to really stop, one, trying to keep up with people, trying to have the same things they have, trying to chase that happiness through a product, right? Happiness should come in, hey, what is my lifestyle going to be like? What is my children's lifestyle going to be like? Both of us being fathers, a lot of what I do is making sure that my children have something when I'm gone.
Yep.
The other big mistake, and one of the things that I like to try to stress here is I talk to people, especially, we're fairly happy people. We have our kids. We like the house we live in and stuff. Would you say your lifestyle is one that you enjoy?
For sure.
Then why are we saying to ourselves that we're waiting for our best lifestyle when we're retired? Why do people do? It's a thing that we shouldn't be doing. We have two different things that happen. You've got people that will live high on the hog during their working years, spend all their money. Like you said, I'm not going to think about 30 years from now. Then all of a sudden they are retired. They are still alive. That 30 years has come and they have nothing left. Right.
Yep.
So they can't do anything fun. Then on the other side of the coin, which I feel is just as bad, you have people that live way down here. They eat ramen. They don't buy anything. They don't go shopping. They don't go on vacations. They have zero fun. And they get up and they've got millions of dollars in their account. And they have all these dreams of going and mountain climbing and skydiving, and they're 85 years old. I don't know too many people that can do that at 85 years old.
Lamar, it's interesting. As I was preparing for this show and I was reading up on the mistakes people make heading into retirement, and that was one of the top 10 mistakes I read about was people underspending.
Yep.
Underspending when they retire because they're afraid it's not going to last. but they literally have no life. They literally are eating top ramen at 70 years old because they're afraid the money isn't going to last because they don't have a plan. They're living in an environment of fear, which really brings me to one of my tactical questions for you. As we're talking about this whole broadcast being about planning for retirement and things you need to be thinking about, how do I calculate how much savings I need to retire? How would you answer that?
So we do calculations here based on each person, what their wages are now, what they're going to actually have in retirement. So we have pensions, we have Social Security, we have other types of retirement that we want to calculate. The taxation on those will be different. So essentially what we do is we do a future value of money based on the retirement date, using factors like what's the average rate of inflation, what's the average rate of medical and education inflation, what things are you wanting to do. So in short, we take a calculation. We say, okay, John makes X amount of dollars now. He gets taxed at this rate. This is how much comes out of his check for everything that he has to pay for through his employer, whether that be healthcare or anything else. We take that amount of money. So what is your actual living amount of money? When you take it home, what are you using to live? Pay your mortgage, pay yourself, pay all your other bills.
So let's pause for a quick second.
Yep.
You made a really good point that I don't know that I've ever really thought about in that way. I'm paying for things like I make X amount of dollars per year, but I got a lot of expenses that come out of that, but I won't have those expenses when I retire. Correct. I won't have the taxes. I'm not paying taxes at the same amount when I'm retired. And so, if I make, $100,000 a year, I could have exactly the same lifestyle on a theoretical $70,000 a year retirement income. Guys, that's just me picking a number out of the air. But I don't need, that's profound. And I understand it fully as I say it, but I never thought about it. I don't need the same amount of income I get now to have the same lifestyle at retirement because my expenses, my costs are less when it comes to where that money is going. Did I say that correctly?
Absolutely, you did. And you use pretty much the same numbers that I use. You're in that tax bracket. You're living at $100,000 a year. You're living on about $65,000 to $70,000 a year is what you're actually using. So,
but aren't I taxed on my retirement income? So I have to pay attention to that. Which Lamar is an expert in a lot of things. He's not a licensed tax advisor. But can you speak to that? Like I'm still paying taxes on it.
Right. So so I'm not a tax preparer. I can be as a CRPC, a Chartered Retirement Planning Counselor. Part of our education is in taxation. How you will be taxed. Now, can I give you
with or without representation? Sorry, just kidding.
Exactly. Taxation without representation is always there, right?
Right.
So that taxation, you are still going to be taxed in retirement. It is going to be less because it's counted. It's going to be counted differently depending on the income we're talking about. Social Security is not taxed unless you make over $34,000 a year outside of Social Security.
So that includes my pension. That includes my part-time job, that includes the money I'm pulling from my 401k. All of that adds up to that $34,000 threshold.
The 401k, no. The 401k, that's going to be it'll become an IRA when you leave. You roll it over. That's what I have people do. They quit their jobs, they retire, they bring their money here, and then we create what we call a retirement paycheck. So what we do to kind of speak back to that calculating of the savings, we're going to do a calculation of how much money is going to be there, how much money is going to come from pension, what's going to come from Social Security, what's going to come from my part-time job. If I'm a state worker and I get my pension, I could take my full pension, go back as a retired annuitant and still make money. So there's things like that you can do as well. So all of those things are calculated. Then I'm going to go to your retirement account and say, okay, John, you are still short maybe about $1,200 a month to live the lifestyle that you're telling me that you want. That's when I start to send you a paycheck from your account of that $1,200 a month, and you are whole with what you need. But most people, and especially if they're a pensioned worker, whether that be state, federal, local government, whether that be a private pension at some of these larger companies that pay the pension, they work too long. So they pay their employer, they pay the state because why? They're making, on a 2% tier program, when you're up to 90% of what your income was, you're sitting around paying them because you're working and you could be at home making actually more money and doing less. So this is why we try to find that sweet spot for people so that they can enjoy themselves in retirement.
So let's simplify this. I have lots of my clients who come to me saying, hey, John, I'm thinking about my mortgage and we'll talk in a few minutes about mortgage questions or mortgage thoughts in retirement. But they come to me talking about it and they said, hey, I'm thinking about retiring. I've got a meeting set up with my HR department to talk about when I should retire. Is it our HR department we should be talking to about when we retire?
No, not at all. I mean, some of these guys now they've started to give simple calculations of what your pension will be, and make no mistake, some of the things that HR will give is something that I could use to help with retirement calculations. But these guys are not retirement experts. They likely will steer you down the wrong path unintentionally. And many of them are really afraid to say much at all because of the liability legally. So,
and they're missing the big picture, right? I mean, they only see you have this much in your 401k, and you're normally making $100,000 a year, and to replace that income, you need to have X amount in your 401k. But they're missing all of the other components that having a true planner like you would be able to provide. Yes?
Right. So you can't answer that question without a lot of work, a lot of look at your spending plan, a lot of look at what your plans are in the future. What are your goals? Mortgage is definitely part of it. All those things you have. If we don't have all of that in front of us at that moment, whatever we're telling you it's basically garbage in, garbage out. It's a guess. So I don't want to base my retirement on someone's guess. I'm not guessing. So I'm a fiduciary. So that's much different than many people who say they're financial planners will be. So I'm fully responsible for what I say. I'm an independent. And I actually am licensed to go look at all of those things and tell you, yes, this is roughly what you're going to need in retirement. This is something that we need to do now, whether that be increasing a 401k amount of money that's going into that account at this time to make things happen, whether it's putting additional monies away in non-retirement accounts that can be moved around so that you can save that amount of money, whether it's getting a new mortgage with you, whether it's, I know we've talked about reverses and stuff like that. So all that income has to come into play. We have to look at everything. The thing I dislike, I would say, more than going to HR is a lot of the states' websites and a lot of employers' websites have added these, here's the retirement calculator. Here's where you're on track. Yeah. I kind of cringe a little bit. My eye twitches when I see those things. I'm like, no. We don't want to look at this. And so many people are basing their entire lives on what that screen says or what a person who is not a financial professional is telling them. And it's like going to the eye doctor for your cancer. It's that you're not going to end up getting the right information that's going to make you and your family successful.
So Lamar, is there an industry, maybe it's you, I know a lot of the clients I've referred to you are in an ongoing relationship with them where you're regularly helping them maintain their financial plan. But what if somebody says, hey, I don't need help maintaining a plan. I just need a plan. I don't want the HR department looking at it and tell me when I can retire and how much I need to add to my savings. I just want to sit down with a professional who looks at what I have in my 401k, looks at what I have in my Roth IRA, looks at what I think I'm going to spend and says, hey, you're on track. Like you really are on track. Not just the website says I'm on track, but you really are. Is that a one-time service that you provide? Is there a different industry that does that? Where does somebody go for that?
So let me answer the question in a different way. So I can do that. Yes. And I have had people that have come in the office and say, hey, I just need to look at my stuff one time, figure it out. And I can do that. I can take all those calculations, charge you a one-time fee. You have me for the year anyway. So we can take that year and just figure out, okay, where are you? Are you going to make it based on today's numbers? Okay. Every single time someone has come in and told me that they want to do this thing one time, they go and go and go. We get, yeah, you're on track. You're doing great. Keep doing these things. Year goes by, they say, hey, yeah, great. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We may continue an investment relationship with you, but we don't need any more financial planning. I think I told this story about my teacher client that she called me after her husband decided, it was her husband, not her, decided, no, we don't want to pay a fee. We're not going to do that anymore. She had a bunch of questions she called and asked me about. And I said, hey, that's really great. I'm glad you're thinking about those things, but you've chosen not to retain me in that capacity anymore. So then all of a sudden they became more than a one-time client because they needed those questions answered. Because here's the trick about what I do. Nobody can tell me what to do as far as an employer, but FINRA and the SEC can tell me what to do. Those are government regulated places. I am regulated by a licensing agency. So if you and I are friends, if I say, hey, I'm going to give John advice and I'm not going to charge him, if somebody just like or close to your complexity comes along and I charge them $2,000, my license is in trouble. And by the way, that person I charge the $2,000, if they know you, they're not too happy because you're getting the same thing for nothing, right? Yes. So people normally don't stick with the one-time thing. I can do it, and I will. You were always able to get out of this relationship. I
Got
don't
it.
care if it's an account. I don't care if it's a financial plan. I don't sell things or give things that lock people in. It has to be your choice to be here and my choice to keep you.
You don't want somebody working with you because they're forced to. I agree with that. So
Absolutely.
Lamar, I want to get through a couple of things quickly. First of all, what if I'm behind? If I haven't saved enough, obviously I can save more, but I hear about these catch-up provisions.
Mhm.
Now, I don't think we're talking about ketchup, mustard, and mayo. We're talking about catch-up. So
Yep.
what is a catch-up provision and how does that work?
So it's age based, as far as it is normally with a 401k or a 403b plan, and that you'll have in an employer. You're allowed to put an extra amount of money above and beyond what the limits are if you are above a certain age. Doesn't matter. And now it doesn't even matter if you can be completely caught up. I mean, you could have been your entire life putting your full amount in your 401k, then you hit that magic number for age, and they're going to say, okay, you can put John an extra $6,500 a year, $7,000 a year, whatever that calculation comes out to be. So that will help in that point if you haven't done quite enough. This year, and it changes every year. You can put, I think it is $19,000 per year into an employer-sponsored plan.
Okay,
So
got it.
let's say your normal everyday 401k guy probably is going to get $6,500 if he's over 50 years old. An additional $6,500. Not a whole lot of money, but it's something. And the great thing about a 401k or a 403b, we preach it all the time. It's pre-tax. So if you make $100,000 a year right now and you put $24,000 into a 401k, you just made $76,000. That's what you'll be taxed on. So you're saving for yourself and you're saving taxes while you're working if you do that. So,
which theoretically delays the taxes to a time in which you're in a lower tax bracket.
yes.
And so now you're not paying as much money in taxes.
That's the goal. The goal is we try to get you to a point where in your tax paying years, we reduce them as much as possible. We start taking out money when we're in that retirement age. Unless it's kind of similar to what the Medicare thing is, unless you're 59 and a half years old at least, you're going to be penalized if you start taking money out of your 401k before that, or out of your IRA before that, unless there's certain provisions that are, if you're disabled or you have, there are some premature rules for hardship. Other than that, you're going to be taxed pretty hard if you start taking money out before that age.
Got it. Okay. So real quick, if you're watching live right now and you have questions, we'll have time in about 10 minutes for some live Q&A. If you're watching tape recorded, the replay of this, post in chat anyway, and we will get to those and give you those answers. I got one last question for Lamar. I'm going to transition to a little bit about mortgages in retirement and how that works. And then we'll bring back Lamar and Joe for some general advice and Q&A. So Lamar, my last question for you has to do with Social Security.
Okay.
What are my options? I hear about early, I hear about late. I guess there's an on time. Like there's an early, then there must be an on time in order to be a late or delayed. Can you give a 2-minute version of what are the ages of those three? And is there, it's an unfair question. Is there a general advice to say when somebody should think about early on time versus late or delayed or whatever the other term is? How would you answer that?
So the way we calculate, the way we determine Social Security. So when you're in a financial planning relationship, we're going to look every quarter. We're going to look at your calculation on the Social Security website. So everybody can get a log on. Everybody should get a log on. You get in there, put your Social Security number in. They have all of the money that you've paid into Social Security over the years, and they're going to tell you, hey, right now, if you retire at full retirement age, you're going to get X amount of dollars. Right now, if you wait until 70, here's how much you're going to get. If you wait until 64, there's at every age you can start taking it when you feel like taking it. Okay, so full retirement age is 66 years old.
Full retirement, 66. Okay.
That's full retirement age.
That's the normal or on time, kind of the middle
kind of middle ground where that's it's acceptable to take Social Security. Okay. So a couple things will play into that. How much income do you have now? Do you need the Social Security now? If we have somebody who absolutely needs the Social Security, we're going to start taking it right away. If we got a person with a good pension, they've got plenty of assets, we may delay that. And I was looking at I actually kind of felt like you would ask this question. So I did a little bit of a mock case. So I could possibly at 66, and under this example, start and get $2,400 per month for the rest of my life. If I delay that till 70, that jumps up to $3,200.
Okay, so I've got $700 more per month, but
By
I
waiting.
waited 4 years. So I gave up earning $2,400 a month for 4 years to make so there's a break even point, right? Like
Right.
if
There's
I
a
die
break
at
even point.
71, this was a losing proposition. If I live to 100, I won.
Right, exactly. So here's the thing. What we look at, I mean, like when I say we do financial planning, it's everything. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna sit down and talk to you. Hey, what is the family health history like? What is your health like? Do males in your family die before 71? So we're making guesses. So I can come in at 62 and I can start taking Social Security. That's going to be my lowest amount.
Okay.
I could wait till full retirement age at 66 and get that a little better. Or if I have somebody who everybody in their family lives to 100 and they're healthy as a horse, they don't smoke and they work out every day, I might say, hey, you know what? You make good money. You don't need Social Security really anyway. Maybe we will wait to get that amount. So there is a break-even point, and that's different for everybody. Because as you said, if I didn't take that $700 a month for 4 years, that's roughly $30,000. How quick is that going to be made up? It's what's going to take that exact amount of 4 years plus another 4 on top of that to actually make up. So those are calculations that we do, and we'll say, hey, here's based on your family history, based on what your income will be. Here's when I think you should take Social Security. I'll give you an exact age. I'll say, hey, you know what? My plan is at 67 years old. We're gonna go in there. We're gonna take it. That's what we're gonna do.
Love it. Lamar, I appreciate that. I'm going to transition real quick and talk about a couple of things related to mortgages and retirement. So I'll bring Joe back in here with Lamar as I talk about this. You guys can chime in, and then we'll get to kind of general Q&A and advice from you guys. So the first thing when I talk about, I hear a lot of people coming to me and saying, John, can I qualify for a loan once I'm retired? That's a bit of a trick question. So the answer is yes, you can. We can use your retirement income just like what Lamar just outlined, that we've got we've got income for you, and we can use that income. The problem is there's a transition period. If you are wanting to buy a house before you retire, but you've already given notice to your employer, I can't use your regular employment income because I know it's going to end and your retirement income hasn't kicked in yet. Or more importantly, Lamar hasn't sat down with your 401k and figured out how much your distributions are going to be. So it creates a catch-22 for us that it's in that transition period before you give notice to your employer that, hey, I plan on retiring on this date. You want to talk to me. You want to talk to Lamar about, hey, I'm thinking about moving. Maybe I want to refinance because rates are lower. Whatever it is, there's just a bit of the middle ground there you need to be concerned about when it comes to qualifying. The second big question I get is, John, how do I use my home equity to supplement my retirement income? And as a matter of fact, Joe and I have talked about this a couple of times. Joe, I think it's interesting. As a matter of fact, I don't think I mentioned this yet, but Joe is actually a real estate agent as well. And Joe had mentioned to me that, he talks to a lot of his clients and all of these topics come up. And I tell my clients all the time, when you're buying a home, there are certain things that are in the wheelhouse of your lender, and there are certain things that are in the wheelhouse of your realtor, but you don't know that as the home buyer. And so you just ask the question. You're talking to me, hey, John, can you tell me about contingency periods and how they work? Well, technically that's Joe's job as your realtor, but let me give you some insight to help you understand it. Joe, it's fair to say you get these questions all the time from people when they're talking about Medicare and they're talking about Social Security and all of these things to you, that the conversation comes up about, man, I got a lot of equity in my home, and do I want to sell and relocate to Texas? Do I want to stay here? Right. You almost become the hub for them to be connected with lots of different consultants. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, it's based on the relationship you have with your client, right? So some of my clients have been with me over 20 years, and I've been guiding them with health insurance. And now for health insurance, I'm in 31 different states throughout our country because people are moving. So I'm in 31 states, and before they move, they should find out about their healthcare benefits, and I'm helping them with their real estate transactions. But yeah, it's based on the relationship you have with your client. And if we can offer a service, let's do it. Let's provide that service based on the relationship.
And it's one of the things that Joe, you mentioned to me. You run across a fair number of people who ask you about reverse mortgages. And Lamar, you and I have talked about this before as well. And I think that's the thing that people don't understand very well, is that a reverse mortgage is a tool that we can use to help tap into the equity in your home. that the reverse mortgage allows, you've saved your entire life. And you're in a position right now where, man, I'm having a hard time. Joe, I want to upgrade to, that better Part D coverage. Joe, I'm totally guessing. I don't know. I know it's A, B, C, and D. I don't know which is which yet, but I'll get it one day. I'll get there. So I want to get the better version of the Part D coverage, but I can't make the income work. I'm barely scraping by. I can't pay for my prescriptions, but have a bunch of equity in my home. And so I'm not going to get into what a reverse mortgage is today, but I'm going to point out, first of all, I did 2 or 3 weeks ago on my Financial Friday, I did a full hour on reverse mortgages. My mom has one. My dad passed away in 2007, 2008. And we got her a reverse mortgage that year. She's had it for the last 14 years. And it's worked out beautifully for her. So it's a tool you can use when you're in a position where you've got a lot of equity in your home. Because what's I don't want to call it funny, maybe ironic is the better way to put it, is that people are people's biggest retirement savings plan often is the equity in their home. And it really is important to figure out, how do I tap into that? How do I use that? But use it wisely and use it safely. So I think that's a key thing. We'll have a link down below. If you're watching recorded, Anna will have put a little button up in one of these corners that has the link to my video from a couple weeks ago about reverse mortgages. Gentlemen, I want to do some general Q&A. I know we have a question from Donald I'll get to. But I want to go through a couple of quick things. So feel free, either one of you, to jump in with questions about any of this. My first question is, should I pay off my mortgage prior to retirement? That's probably a Lamar question. Lamar, what are your thoughts there?
So in short, it doesn't really matter. Okay. So if the mortgage is the only thing you have, I'm not overly concerned about the mortgage. Most of our bills are being paid off. We have more money. So we can have a mortgage so long as it's not something that's, way out of line as far as with our income. It's 6 of one, half a dozen the other, quite honestly. If people pay off a mortgage before retirement, it's more of how it makes them feel. They feel freer because their home is paid off. We always like having our bills paid, right?
And I'm going to throw out another quick idea on this, Lamar, and I think you're going to agree. I think some people have hyper focus on paying off their mortgage and they miss an opportunity.
Absolutely.
Right now, I'm going to get super technical, but very high level technical. We are experiencing what I call negative mortgage rates because the rate on your mortgage is less than the rate of inflation. So you're better off owing money on your mortgage right now. And you're better off taking that extra money that you would have paid on your mortgage and investing it, because that money will grow. Now you're going to say, oh my God, John, the stock market is collapsing. No, it's not. Matter of fact, it's a buying opportunity in my opinion. But it's something to think about.
Right.
And I think that's really, really important. I have a couple other general questions, but before I get to the general questions, let's talk about what Donald said. So Donald asked a question, Joe, do you educate HR people? His dad delayed getting Medicare for 4 years because the director told him he couldn't work and have a Medicare plan, even though they could have offered a workplace Medicare plan. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, well, we're talking about agent-client relationships. There's another level of relationships, which is what we're doing today. It's professional relations. And I'm active in my Roseville Chamber of Commerce. And John, this is a wonderful opportunity to speak on Medicare. But it's having a network of professionals on your side and being able to refer services like you're talking about. So yeah, if I have a chance to talk to HR directors or HR managers, I always welcome that opportunity. And that's why I'm on the radio. I have a radio show just to talk about Medicare.
Love it.
So, I'm talking to employers, HR person, retirees, community leaders, business leaders. So I'm trying to educate. And based on education, later on, there's a sales transaction. But I'm providing value first. And that's what we're doing here today. Provide value, educate, and the goodwill comes back to your transactions.
So guys, we got about 2 minutes left.
Networking is huge because John and I met through BNI. The biggest reason I network is to have people like you on my side that I can refer my clients so I can know that they're in a good position.
Thank you.
The business is something that's icing on the cake if that happens for me, but it's really for my clients to live a long life and have things that are happening right for them. So
yes, live long and prosper.
Exactly.
A couple of quick questions, guys. Maybe a quick 10, 15 second answer. Lamar, I'll start with you. You're talking to somebody in their 40s and 50s. What is the biggest piece of advice you have for them about retirement planning?
Utilize your plans at work that you can put money into. Number one. Number two would be the thing that you just said. Don't look at the market as crashing because it's not crashing. this is a buying opportunity. If you are not invested right now, I've had more clients come in this week with more money now. Say, hey, this is an opportunity because they've been trained the correct way that we need to come in at this point. If we put things into perspective, 2008, the market was at 6,800. We're over 32,000 now. Is the market really down? Then the answer is no. We have an opportunity now. So those are the two pieces of advice. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of saving money and have a financial planner that tells you where to go and what to do.
Love it. By the way, Joe, jump in if you have anything to add, but I wanted to go to one more thing, which is the 20s and 30s. So Lamar, now you go even earlier. Is there anything extra you add to somebody? Because I hear a lot of people in my 20s and 30s saying, look, that's so far away. Why are you bugging me about this? What's something simple? Clearly, invest as much as you can, put it all away for retirement is great. Compounding, time, everything's on your side. But that goes in one ear and out the other. So is there something extra that you say to your clients that are in that age bracket that really you think resonates with them?
First, we're happy when they come in because it's so rare for people to think about those things at that age. So you're dealing with a very intelligent person at that point when they come into that age. But it really is, it's mostly you have to put less money away now, starting now. So have that come out of your check, have your retirement plan, have an IRA on the side, really consult a financial planner about everything you're doing because now you have a clean slate. Every decision you make, whether it be a mortgage, whether it be whatever loan you get, whatever you buy, you're sitting in the catbird seat at this point. And if you're taking advice that early, you're going to be very successful. So my advice to them is be smart, get someone on your side that you can have a relationship with and keep listening to their advice. Don't think that you're young and you don't need to think about it because I've got a daughter tonight graduating. She's 19 years old. I remember taking her home from the hospital. Time goes by fast.
It sure does. Joe, any thoughts? What are some mistakes people make regarding planning for retirement? Any last thing you want to add to make sure that people think?
Yeah, thanks, John. It's going to segue to another show because it's a lot of content here. First of all, work with a professional, okay?
Yep.
But there's a discussion on what Medicare does not cover, and that is long-term care.
Yeah.
You have coverage for hospitalization. You have coverage for doctors, 100 days of skilled nursing. But long-term care is an issue, and most people are not planning for that.
Yep.
So the help coverage with activities of daily living. Okay. So the other thing, again, another segue into another show here is the prescription drug coverage. Some people are very fortunate. They don't have any prescriptions. Others have a long list of prescriptions, and you'll be surprised from one company to the next on how you could save thousands of dollars or hundreds and thousands of dollars by being on the right plan.
Yep.
So that's more information for next time. But appreciate the opportunity to be with you guys today.
Great points,
Joe is the polished radio guy having a radio show. That's more information for next time. In other words, that's be here. I love it. Anna, is there anything we're missing? Anything we want to add or anything that we missed in this?
It's great information you just gave, Joe, because long-term care is it goes up all the time. It's going to ever increase. California's legislatively kind of pushed a lot of people out. John Hancock's a big one. They used to do a lot of business with long-term care. They're no longer here. Many people, again, it's like having a trust. It's like having a will. It's like any of these things. They don't want to think of their own mortality and their own kind of degrading health. So they avoid it. They avoid it. We start talking about it at 50. I've gotten to the point now where I write a letter and have them sign it saying, hey, I have offered you this. Because I don't want people coming back and telling me, hey, guess what? You didn't tell mom and dad they should get long-term care. Right now, today, if someone goes into a facility, if it's going to be any kind of facility you want your people in, it's going to cost you about $6,000 a month.
Wow.
And more, depending on the level of care.
Yeah, that's about a middle ground.
Yep. So let's wrap up, guys, because we've had a full hour. Let's say this. First of all, I've got Lamar and Joe's contact information. We've got the information on Joe's radio show there. I had planned on talking about in future broadcasts, estate planning, wills and trusts. So we're going to go down that road. We're going to talk about taxes, and we're going to have a tax guy on talking about taxes. But I think long-term care is something that I need to add to my agenda going forward, and bring in somebody to talk more about long-term care. And finally, really senior care. Like, it's one thing about long-term care insurance. It's a whole nother area of, okay, I've got a parent, I have a spouse that needs care. How do I find the right facility? I think there's so much confusion and fear And I think that's an area that we really need to help guide our friends and our family on what to do. So I really am honored to have both of you on the show today. I very, very much appreciate it. Everybody who's watching, please like, share, subscribe, do all those things that you're supposed to do on social media. Connect with Lamar and Joe. They're absolutely amazing professionals. Gentlemen, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Happy holiday weekend, Memorial Day weekend. We hope everybody has a great